Our condolences this morning to the zookeeper, 33-year-old Rosa King. Rosa died when a tiger entered the enclosure with her. This was at Hamerton Zoo in Cambridgeshire. Joining us now in the studio is Annika Savenska. Annika is a wildlife conservationist, and they're saying, the zoo are saying, that at no time did this animal escape the enclosure, or was there a danger to the general public? What appears to have gone wrong here?
Well, I can only go on previous things that have happened at zoos. When they're in the enclosure, you have an outside enclosure, so probably when they're saying it never escaped from the enclosure, it didn't escape from the perimeter. But of course, the keeper would have to enter inside the enclosure in order to clean out, feed, change the water. And what normally happens at zoos is they have a system where they can segregate the tigers. They'll lead them into another part of the enclosure, and a door or a gate will shut. There was an attack in a zoo in 2014 where a woman went in and she was changing a bucket, and a door opened accidentally. Whether it was a technical error or whether it was a human error, the door opened and the tiger came into the same enclosure as the woman, and they're hardwired for attack. They're solitary hunters. When they're in the wild, when they see something, it's like, oh wow, it's opportunity, we've got to get the kill now.
And from that point of view, they're different than lions.
Well, lions work as a pack, so they rely on each other to have each other's back. So when they're coming in and they're going for the kill, they sort of work strategically. So it's not such I would say it's not such a quick kill. I think with tigers, it's life or death, and you can't turn that off. Even if they're, in captivity, they're still a wild animal, regardless of whether they've even been born in captivity. They've still got that switch in their brain.
It does raise the question about the rights and wrongs of keeping animals like this in captivity. People getting in touch this morning. There's one on Twitter saying, would you be happy being put on show? I feel for the family, but it is time for zoos to be shut. And another one from Alex saying, keeping animals in zoos is disgusting. I know some are in danger, but keeping them locked up, no wonder they attack people. We would. And do you think it is that captive situation as well that can make an animal more stressed?
Yes.
That can mean that when, something extraordinary does happen, that this is the way that they may be retaliating?
I absolutely agree with that. And it's not just tigers, but you can see that every time you can go into a zoo, you have monkeys, you've got apes, they're all banging on the glass, they're swinging from side to side. I work with wolves. Wolves are aggravated, they're agitated, they like to not come across people. They don't like people, they need to have that distance between them. Tigers don't want to meet people, they want to keep a huge gap between us. So I think in that situation, yes, there's tension, there's people walking around the outside, there's noise, there's screaming kids, there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to hide.
The people are walking, and the tiger's walking around in circles. In the wild, how far would a tiger walk in a day?
Gosh, they would walk a long way, because they'll be in the forest and they'll be looking for their prey, so they'll be walking a long way. And equally, wolves, they can walk up to 40 kilometres a day to be in a trapped environment. Yes, I'm sure it's very, very...
But Annika, just finally, you said there you can see when you go into zoos. Whether people visit zoos or don't, they will have a question mark over doing this in the future. When you go into a zoo, if you have to go into a zoo, when you think of the work that you do, people follow you on social media, they'll know the work that you do. What do you feel when you go into a zoo?
I generally don't, because they make me feel so uncomfortable. I feel upset. It actually hurts me when I go into zoos. And of course, the obvious, they always say we need zoos because animals are dying out in the wild, and perhaps the only place we're going to see see animals will be in zoos in the future. But I say, it's not too late for us to save our environment. Let's work so hard to keep animals in the wild and keep those pockets of land, and try and work really, really hard with all the different countries to keep those animals in the wild. Because wouldn't it be a really, really sad future for us and our kids and our grandkids if all the animals were extinct all over the world except in zoos, and that was the only place that you could see them?